When stress at work can create tensions at home. A couple articles I want to share with you. I think that's pretty interesting when it comes to probably our modern society in terms of you taking the workplace home and creating ill will. In fact, my very first book, Strategic Money Planning, is not the right title for it in hindsight. I wanted it to be as an education for people who are having stressful lives to recognize it doesn't have to be like that. Your financial situation will bring to stress at home, which leads to divorce. No other way around it. Certainly money, I mean, Jesus talks about money a heck of a lot more talks about wayward spouses. So we know money can cause huge amounts of stress, which will cause divorce, which will leave young children without their mom or dad at home. That's not good for society. It's not good for the parents, and it's definitely not good for the kids. So let's look at these articles here. The first one is from the Wall Street Journal just the other day. Let's see here, Dateline, July 26th. Yeah, there you go. I thought it came out a little bit about a week ago. Yeah, July 15th, 2009. And then the second one is pretty ironic. Burnout is rising in the land of work-life balance. Sweden is famous for championing a balanced lifestyle, but the number of young people being signed off work with severe stress is mushrooming. Interesting, huh? Because Sweden is a socialist paradise, is it? Isn't it? No, it's not. The land of the vouchers, huh? Interesting. All right, so here we go from Susan Schellenberger. Schellenbarger. Sue Schellenbarger. I think I actually follow her on LinkedIn, which I think is how I came across this. When stress at work creates drama at home, the spillover effect can jeopardize relationships, and here's what you can do if hard times on the job change how you behave during off hours. Work is seeping into weekends and other personal time, and women are logging more hours on the job. Those trends are turning many couples after work hours into a minefield. People who put in long days on stressful jobs tend to carry the strain over into their lives at home. They start arguments or withdraw emotionally and neglect their partners after work, a pattern researchers call the spillover effect. I would actually say, I don't know about women. I imagine it's probably the same, but men in particular get into beer, get into alcohol, get into football, and then they want, this is why the whole thing with these sports going political on this is just stupid. And I'm just speaking on behalf of a man, because we watch sports. Women don't watch sports as much. So what happens is you're stressed at work. You come home on a Saturday and Sunday. The point why it's so addictive, because you have no responsibility. You can drink beer, watch football. I'm telling you, it is the escape that men need. And when ESPN and all these other idiots start making football political, you're driving away. What people need is the dopamine rush that says, now I can just chill and not pay attention to the world outside, because the world outside is kind of hairy to me. And watching college football and watching NFL on Sunday is the stress reliever that people need. When you start throwing in, what's that guy's, Max Kellerman and all his left-wing political stuff, people are like, oh, stop. I didn't come here for this. I get that everywhere else. I came here to watch sports and drink beer. That's it. I don't know what women do to relieve the stress. I don't know, but I do know what men do, and that's why That's why it's so addictive to men on the weekends, and that's why they guard that time, because it's their way to regenerate themselves. I'm telling you, man, it's nuts. All right, so people, we talk about that. You're quicker to raise your voice at a child or a spouse. You're more easily antagonized, says Don Carlson, management professor at Baylor. This can trigger a downward cycle of stress if spouses carry the effects back to work the next day, hurting the ability to concentrate and be productive. Spillover is especially hazardous to relationships if the employee is both passionate about a job and obsessed with succeeding at it, says another recent study. Wendy Wisner of New York says her husband became so drained, depressed, and angry while teaching at a financially strapped public school that she worried about whether her marriage would survive. Teaching and working with students has been his lifelong passion, but he faced so many classroom disciplinary problems with so little support from the administrators that he became irritable at home and began having panic attacks. His tension made it harder to communicate at home. Nearly all of the couple's family and household duties fell to her. I'm telling you, so he comes home, he wants to check out, he probably doesn't want to watch football, but a lot of men do. They don't want to do that crap. They want to come home and watch football. And look, I'm not defending them. I'm just saying this is what happens to stressful work. You bring it home. So now you want to check out of everything, include talking to your wife and kids. Miss Wisner, a writer for parenting site Scary Mommy, was relieved when, after several years, he finally resigned and took a much less stressful job. His mood and temperament became normal almost overnight. If that doesn't bring you it brings me almost to tears in my eyes. And the sad thing is those kids who needed this guy as his teacher are going to be without. But the problem is when you have top-down education bureaucracy. And look, Bush and Obama. That's why I'm a libertarian. I'll never be a socialist. But Bush and Obama, that 16 years were devastating to local district schooling. We know this. Bush did it with No Child Left Behind. Obama took the flag and ran with it and made it even worse, where they were going after school districts for disciplinary actions that they were racial disparity. And we just got a report from the Office of Civil Rights where the two naysayers, Gail Harriet and Peter Kirsanow, said this is insane. You guys are literally making crap up because the 3 of the 5 were appointed by Obama. 2 of the 5 were the Republicans, and they're making crap up for racial disparities in public school policing, and not policing like arrest, but policing miscreants and misbehavior. And so what's happening? The racial disparities are causing the kids who don't engage in problem classrooms, and which are mostly in the inner cities, which mean the minorities are the ones being affected by a few kids who are out of control. It just is freaking nuts, dude. But I don't just blame it on Obama. I blame it on Bush. No Child Left Behind. Look, I fell for that hook, line, and sinker myself. We have Dexter Manley graduating high school without being able to read his diploma. And we said that can't happen. We got to stop this. So what we do is we give the iron hand of the federal government the authority to dictate what the schools in Milwaukee do. You can't have that, man. The freaking people in D.C. don't know what the hell is going on in Milwaukee. And anyway, I fell for it. And then, of course, Obama, so because it's under your guy, Bush, hey, you're like, oh, yeah, no, I'll be good. Conservative, passionate, or what does he call it? Compassionate conservative or conservative big government. That will be good. Whereas liberal big government is bad. No, big government is big government, man. It's got to be localized, local control at all times. Having one partner find a new job to take the pressure off isn't always an option. Recent research shed lights on how couples can take control of their after-hour work time, adapt to inborn differences. Some people have a fight or flight response to stress. When challenged, they may resort to fight and pull into a shell to calm themselves and avoid starting a fight. Others have a tend or befriend response to stress, an impulse to seek comfort by approaching others to talk, says some professor. The tend and befriend response is more common among women, which tends to spark more arguments. Yeah, no. But men's stereotypical fight or flight response can be just as damaging if spouses read their withdrawal as emotional neglect. Exactly. Understanding these physiological differences can help prevent after-work spillover. It's funny. I remember when we were having some tough time. My wife's mom just died, and that was tough. It's a challenge. I'll never forget that. And she seemed to, and this is just me, but she seemed to find more peace in talking to her family than me, and that was offensive to me. And look, I'm a pretty thin-skinned guy. I'm not going to lie. But there was a time that I said, look, in hindsight, it only made sense because she had memories to share with her family. But I felt like, how come she's not coming to me with this? And I don't, I'm an immature guy. No other way around that. But I was offended. I was offended. And then we had a neighbor die, and we were a good neighbor, Miss Ruth, who was an older lady, and she died, or Victor, Ruth or Victor. Maybe they both did. Anyway, it was Ruth. Ruth died. And I remember the ambulance would be called every now and again to the house, and we'd run over there in the middle of the night to try to help out and stuff because, when you live in these, flyover countries, that's what you do. Your neighbor has an ambulance come in. Her husband is an older man who basically can't walk without a cane. You go over there to try to, while the ambulance is en route, you go over there to try to help out. Neighbors down the street would come, so we'd have this, basically neighborhood meeting at Ruth and Victor's house. And, to help out whatever we could, to hold IV bag, to just be there, console Victor. The woman would be there to console Ruth because they have to get her naked and stuff. And anyway, when she died, that was hard on our family for sure, because she was just a wonderful lady. It was like a grandma that we didn't have. And so, long story short, that created some chaos because my wife is emotionally. It hits her quickly. It didn't hit me quickly. It hit me in a while. And I remember she didn't feel like I was emotionally with her at the same time. And I wasn't, because it literally didn't hit me that quickly. It didn't. And she was emotionally distraught, and I was not there yet. I wasn't saying get out of it. It wasn't like that. But she was emotionally distraught, and I wasn't yet. And I think she felt offended by that. And I'm putting words in her mouth. I don't know. But we had an issue. There was an issue there. And I remember she would call her friends and her sisters, and they would be there for her. And she felt I wasn't there for her. And then when finally it hit me, she was over it, and I didn't have anybody, because I've always been a loner for the most part. And I couldn't really talk about. I mean, I talk to my brother, but it's not quite the same. I used to be able to talk to my mom quite a bit, and that was helpful. But those days are kind of gone now. So it was tough, man. It was tough. And then when her mom died, I think she felt, because Ruth died before her mom died. When her mom died, I think she felt that I wasn't going to satisfy her emotional needs, and so she turned to what she turned to when Miss Ruth died. And I don't blame her. It was tough. It was a tough scenario, and on top of that, we were broke. It was a tough scenario all the way around. It was tough. We weren't getting divorced or anything, but that was 2005, 6, 4, 3, 2004, and 5 and 6. It was a tough scenario, and but that's the thing. You're dealing with human beings. It's always going to be. There's never going to be freaking roses, peaches, and cream all the time. There's going to be times that you've got to stick in there. I'll just never forget. I was teaching a course on VCU on the Certified Financial Planning Program down in Richmond, and we're coming from Harrisonburg, so it was about a 2-hour drive over. It was 64, I think. And during this time, because I need the money, they're going to pay me $3,000 for a semester teaching their CFP program down at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. And that was a time that was tough. And I just remember driving down there thinking, is this going to go worse? And I'll never forget. It was tough, man. It was tough. I just driving there, going over 64, thinking, is this going to get worse or is this going to get better? But you got to hang in there, man. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Look, we're going to be 20 years here next month, my wife and I, and we were dating for 5 years previous to that. So we've been around. So I've been with Charlotte more than I've been on this earth. All right. More than half of my life on this earth has been with this one lady, and we're stronger today than ever. But it hasn't always been like that. So if you're contemplating marriage, you got a significant other, just remember, it's not all peaches and cream. It's not. And if you're fixing to get ready to get married, fix. I said fix. I never said that in Maine. You got to remember, man, if you're thinking it's always going to be good, you're wrong. There are going to be some hard times. Learn how to deal with it, because some hard times you just got to hang in there. If you can just hang in there, it can be awesome. And just going back to the video I just posted with the arc of happiness, those hard times, you're starting here happy in your marriage. Then you can go down here and stress of kids, stress of jobs, stress of people dying, stress of just the same old. You're with the same person. The stress is going to kick in down here. If you can just survive that, it will get better. It will get better, but not for everybody. Don't get substance. If it's substance abuse, it won't. I'm just telling you. But if you can just stay away from the booze and the dope and the pornography and addiction to gambling and all that, if you can stay away from that, it will get better, most likely. But you just got to get beyond that downward slope and come back up, and you'll see a huge improvement. And you look back and say, man, I'm glad we survived, because you know who you're married to and she knows who she's married to, or you know who you're married to and he knows who he's married to, whatever you're coming to. But you just got to give some time. Give it some patience. Give it some time. If you need to, give some space. Not saying get separated, but just say, okay, when you're ready, I'm here. All right, so Maddie Ray Cooper sometimes needs to vent her frustration after a tough day. Then I'm not holding it deep inside, allowing it to ferment and then explode, she says. She used to try to get her partner, Matt, to do the same, and was bewildered when her attempts to get him talking just stressed him out more. In time, they realized the responses to stress were nearly opposite. Rather than venting, Matt, a jazz musician and coffee shop barista, says he prefers to take time alone to relax and work on his music. The insight enabled them to work out new patterns. When Miss Cooper needed a vent, she asked him. When Matt needs to vent, he listens carefully. Matt says he listens carefully, offering help if needed. And she gives him space to decompress. Navigating work stress has been a defining point in our relationship. That's made us a stronger couple. That's Rachel and, okay, it's not them. So let's talk about Rachel and Nathaniel. Davis's job as an engineer on a large infrastructure construction projects is extremely stressful. He and his wife, Rachel, used to bicker after work about small issues, such as forgetting an errand. We had all this friction in the family, and it was hard to identify what the problem was, they said. In talking over, they realized they had different needs. Rachel's work as a business owner and career coach entails a lot of work online, leaving her eager to socialize after work. What's this guy? Nathan's work, where he deals with people all the time, needs alone time. This can't be our life forever, where I want to go out and do things all the time and you don't, says Rachel. They adapted by changing the routine. After Rachel picks up the children from childcare, Nathan assumes bath and bedtime duty, freeing her to join in and take part in community service groups in the evening. They also work hard on communication, texting during the day to gauge each other's needs. If Nathan is having a tough day, Rachel gives him free time by taking Fitz and Quinn to visit her mother after childcare. We have learned to be very direct with each other and question things like, what do you need right now? That's good. Let's see. Many people shed stress by doing something completely different right after work, going to happy hour or the gym. Happy hour is concerned. Healthy couples also find a way to hit the reset button. And here we have a couple here, and Annika and Lily. Each is free to pursue activities to unwind. All right, you get that. So you can read all that. Anyway, I thought that's pretty interesting. So what I was just going to say real quick, one of the things my wife is good at, and I'm not, is she'll give me the silent treatment. She doesn't do it anymore, but man, she could sit there and just internalize for days. And I'd be like, oh my goodness, can we get beyond? I mean, it used to drive me insane. I mean, please, can we get beyond this? Can we just move forward? Because women, here's what men do, just for you women out there. Men fight, they yell, men yell and scream and fight. They fight each other, literally fist. And then about 2 hours go by, they're back, being buddies. That's what men do. They do it, they get it on, and they move on. It's that simple. Not women. And so my she'd give me a silent treatment. I mean, it could be for days. And I'd be like, dude, kill me. And so what I would try to do, I'd say, okay, I'm going to get you back. And that lasts about 30 minutes. And I just couldn't do it. She doesn't do it anymore. But man, I'd be like, if she wanted to get under my skin and make it count, she would just give me a silent treatment. And she would win every time. I'd say, please, what do I need to do to stop? I just don't care. It's not that big of a deal. And but she knows that about me and I know that about her. I also know about her that when she has guests coming over, whatever it may well be, she wants the house picked up. And I always said, I don't care. The house, I look at it right now, the house is fine. But she would come in here and people coming over, she goes, a mess. And she used to get nervous and we get big fights. It's like, it's just not that big of a deal. And finally, I just recognized this is what happens with maturity, my friends. And I used to get on, I said, we used to fight. And I used to pick on her, say, I'm not doing this just to piss her off, to pick up the house. Because I said, for me, it's not an issue. But she said it was an issue. So finally, I was able to get off my high horse, say, if it's an issue to her, it's an issue to me. And that's what you got to do. You can be a good husband or a good spouse. You got to say, or a good partner. If it's important to her, it needs to be important to you. You see what I'm saying? And then I said, okay, no, I got it. So no matter what I do, when we have people coming over, even if it doesn't stress me out, inherently it stresses her out. So let me help out that by cleaning up without her having to tell me. And because of that, it'll relieve the stress, it'll relieve the tension. Because it's important to her, inherently it's got to be important to me. And she does the same thing for stuff for me too. I don't know, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. But I mean, there's tons of, trust me, I'm a problem child relative to her. Trust me on that. My goodness. If I didn't have a little Char, I'd be living in a van down by the river, probably not even having pants on. I'd be pantless because I don't know how to take care of myself. I mean, she came back from England, brought me this freaking chocolate-covered toffee. If I was just me, I'd be no pants, living in a van down there by the river with no gas in it, cell phone, and no battery charge, and I'd be just chowing on that toffee. And I'd be happy as a clam until I ran out of toffee. Until I realized my predicament. I'm living in a van down by the river with no toffee, no cell phone, no electricity, and I don't have pants. So I need my wife. I probably have a lot more than she needs me, to be honest with you. So I got the better end of this deal. Shh, don't tell anybody. But at the end of the day, that's what happens when you get married and you're dealing with your spouse. You say to yourself, if it's important to her, it's important to me. And if you can do that, my friends, you'll be a lot better off. All right, I think I went beyond my thing here. I'm not going to do the other topic here. Maybe I'll do another video on it. If you want to read up on this, I'll put a link in the show notes. And if you want to read on this other article about stress and burnout in Sweden, I'll do another video on that here in just a second. So hang in there. Stay tuned. What does this have to do with financial planning, Josh? If I want your advice, I'd go see, whatever. Because financial planning is happiness, is marriage counseling. And I'm not saying I'm the guy to do it, but if you have a good marriage, if you have a happy home, it's better for your children, it's better for you, it's better for society. And part and parcel of that is financial worries. I know that for a fact. But they all flow to the same thing. If you divorce, your financial planning is going to take it on the chin. This is not debatable. This is not debatable. If you stay together in a happy relationship, you're going to be in a good place financially. They all flow together. Understand that. It's not separate. All right, we'll see you next time. Smash the like button.